is an Airbnb crash a bad thing? I have been reading articles about the situation and most use language like afraid of. And if Airbnb dies and people start selling their investment homes, how is this a bad thing to the average working class person? It's not. Those fearmongering articles are not written by or for average working class people. It's bad for rental investors, good for rental users and home buyers. Not big enough of an issue to create a recession. And falling prices are reduce inflation as well. So in general, if Airbnb investors are over-leveraged and there is a crash that reduces its numbers, it is good for everyone except those who lose out in the crash. It's not. It's literally even good for Airbnb users. We can go back to people using the app as a place to rent extra space. Instead of a primary income, hopefully prices can re-enter the stratosphere. WSJ wants you to think a labor shortage is a bad thing too. You know what happens during a labor shortage? Wages go up. It's not bad. It needs to happen. Short-term rentals have completely screwed the real estate market. People who get caught holding the bag just lose. That's capitalism. I think the big worry is mainly about the housing market getting flooded with homes for sale. This will likely drive down prices. So it's good for buyers. Bad for sellers. It's not. Rich people are just scared they can't hoard homes anymore. I hate what Airbnb has become. Buying up all the houses in neighborhoods to price out homebuyers and force them into rentals. Plus I don't even like using them. Having $100 cleaning fee on a 2-day $200 rental is absurd. People who want to buy a house, how is a housing market crash a bad thing? I am waiting for the next one. Edit to make it clear. A market crash means bad things for people who own a house. Good things for those looking to buy. My parents' house went from $450K to $200K in 2008. College grads bought my parents' house. One man's crash is another man's correction. It's only a bad thing if you're a scumbag who takes homes and apartments off the market for the sake of charging $300 a night instead of $800 a month. If you're normal, this is only a good thing. It's bad if your income depends on other people paying off your mortgage. Housing prices will fall. Recent home buyers will be underwater. Real estate investors default on their payments. Banks write off trillions. Stocks dive. Airbnb crashing is a good thing for everyone except those greedy cheap-ass hosts and the capitalists, but fuck them. It's not. It will free up houses for buyers in need of a primary residence. It's a good thing for anybody in a city with tourists. I prefer hotels. Woman shrugging, medium skin tone. A crash potentially hurts all homeowners. As more homes enter the market quickly, pricing can drop dramatically. This is good for buyers but can put others in challenging positions. I know the general response will be so. A precipitous drop in the value of housing affects new investment as well. A big working class area impacted would be the construction industry and its suppliers, raw materials, steel, lumber, etc. No judgment on good or bad. Just a way working class folks can be impacted. It's bad because many modern economies are houses of cards built on housing supply shortages. A lot of rich people stand to lose a lot of money on this. I hope it goes through and actually crashes. Especially because housing prices at large won't significantly drop and opponents of housing supply will lose another scapegoat, just as foreign buyers and vacant homes have turned out to not be the problem, and addressing those problems has continued to not fix the housing crisis. I live in New Orleans. My neighbors have often been Airbnb owners with soulless, visibly gutted homes and Chilean brats who often sublet upon sublet from owners who bought houses for cash and renovated. I am over this shit. Let it crash and burn, and may the actual residents of different cities and towns rise from the ashes and find affordable housing. You can look at this from 3 perspectives. From the renting public. This is great, I'm sure some of those folks will offload that property. From the landlords. Some will lose their shirts because they can't cover mortgages on multiple properties. From the 3rd perspective. Corporate America is buying homes at a scary rate. I foresee more homes getting purchased by these groups, so I wouldn't expect this drastic fall in mortgage prices. Because Airbnb will have to gasp, get a fucking job. Well, if Airbnb crashes, we can finally say goodbye to those cringe-worthy vacation photos people keep posting. Hallelujah. It's not a bad thing for average working people. It's a bad thing for all the assholes who drove up the prices buying investment rentals. It will be a good thing if Airbnb goes under, because there are housing shortages in many areas, and those people often takes houses off the market and use them for short-term rentals. Those homes coming back into the market will lower prices. The only thing that would be better is if the private equity firms who keep buying up the housing market start going bankrupt as well. It's not. It's just fearmongering. They want you to think that it's a bad thing so people worry about it and try to do something. Some people have some airy-fairy idea that the Airbnb houses will be sold below market value and poor renters will be able to buy them with no deposits. In actual fact, those houses will remain empty or renovated and sold off for profit at a higher price. Airbnb is a cancer for the whole society, and I really hope it goes down, and with it all the investors' leeches that are draining the economy. High housing prices only detracts money from the productive economy to the pockets of a few. Companies need to increase salaries, but workers never see the benefit of it. And Airbnb plays a huge role in hosing prices and market availability. Also, as an user, Airbnb is super expensive. It is hard to know if you're being scammed into some tourist trap, and it is way less safe and convenient than a hotel. God riddance Airbnb. It's plausible that it could cause a banking crisis that would make it harder for working class people to borrow money, or impact their livelihoods if businesses go under. Slugs fear the salt. If there are people losing all the money they invested on rental property, McDonald's is hiring. It's not if you live in a neighborhood that's been fucked up by Airbnb. Definitely beats an Airbus One lol. The problem would be a company like BlackRock going on an acquisition spree, driving prices and rent even further upward. It's not bad for the average person. It's bad for those who bought a bunch of properties for the explicit purpose of renting them out on Airbnb. It's actually good for the average person. It's just bad for those that were buying up a bunch of houses so they could gouge people. It's not. If you're not running an Airbnb or trying to buy up all the free real estate to make yourself an Airbnb tycoon, then it has no bearing on your life at all. Most things these days have no impact on your daily life. News in general that you can do nothing about is one of those things. Such a crash would definitely be a correction.